Sunday show. Make sure you smash that like button. Pelicans, 3-7 start. Not really good. We're going to talk about Zion Williamson, who's out indefinitely again. Trey Murphy returns tomorrow against the Brooklyn Nets. DeJounte Murray's back in the building. And we're going to go on if we should tank or try to win games. I'm sure you already know some of those answers. Let's do it.
First took away. Gas for this. Get your money's worth now.
Presented by Scott Vicknair Injury Law Firm. If you've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, or hurt offshore, Scott Vicknair handles it all. Give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. Yes, a free consultation. They always fight for the win. Chris, Chaz, and Ross tonight. I would like to start off this show. Special shout out to Darren Rizzi getting his first career win. Shout out Coach Rizzi. Got to, fortunately enough, coach his kids, so I, have a nice little, a personal relationship with Darren Rizzi. So I want to take this time, give him his flowers, because that was an actually eventful and fun game today. And getting your first career NFL win, obviously you never forget about that. So shout out Darren Rizzi. Chris, let's just go right off the bat here. Zion Williamson, yesterday, was reported that he has a left hamstring strain and will be out indefinitely. So basically the same shit all over again. I want to go through the timeline, though, and I think it's interesting. I think this is an interesting talking point in which we all need to talk about, whether it's us, the chat, whoever it may be. I think, I forget who said it. It was Lito. Said it's always hard to talk about someone's injury because you never know really the severity of it, and you never want anyone to get injured. My problem is not that Zion Williamson is injured. My problem is he doing everything in his power to prevent injury? Is he showing up pre-game getting his treatment, post-game getting his treatment? We're hearing that, we don't know. The miscommunication, the communication process throughout this whole thing has just been weird, Chris. And I'm going to walk you through just over the last week of Zion Williamson. November 3rd. Right hamstring tightness, goes through warm-ups, doesn't play. The next day, the injury changes on the injury report to right thigh soreness, doesn't show up to the building per doctor's orders, whatever that means. I didn't even know that was a thing. November 6th, he plays, takes himself out in the second quarter. And before we get to the third quarter, a question was asked to head coach Willie Green, what happened? And his response was, I don't know. So then Zion Williamson actually returns for the third quarter, finishes the game, and actually plays pretty well. Then they go to Orlando. It now changes to the left hamstring tightness, doesn't play. Then yesterday, out indefinitely. Clearly, it's both hamstrings, Chris, because he's had right hamstring tightness, right thigh tightness, then left hamstring tightness, and now he has a left hamstring strain. My question here is the communication of what is going on, because once again, I'm not mad at the injury. I really hope Zion Williamson is okay. I want that to be very clear. I hope that Zion Williamson is okay. My problem is the communication throughout this whole process, Chris, because I don't think there's any clarity of what is actually going on. And once again, if you haven't read Christian Clark's article out today, the Pelicans declined to comment on the severity of the hamstring. That's fine. And then they just kind of loosely throw out indefinitely. He's out indefinitely. That could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, could be 4 weeks, could be 5 weeks, could be 6 weeks. And the reason why they use that term indefinitely, Chris, is because they've been burned in the past of giving a timeline of 3 to 4 weeks and not meeting that timeline. For instance, example, when David Griffin comes into a media day and says that Zion Williamson will be ready for the season and then he's out for the entire year, that's probably why they go out with the loose term of indefinitely. What are your thoughts on the timeline and how this thing has played out over the last week and a half?
So, to me, it's just a mixture of, I would say, a superstar or a star that isn't taking care of his responsibilities to himself, to his body, for one, which isn't new. when we've been talking about Zion, in regards to the inconsistency with that and how that creeps up. And especially for a dude that at his size with his level of explosion, you need, that's a little crazy. You need like his preparation needs to be top tier. It needs to be top tier. Everything that's, I'll never forget CJ talking about, I think it was the end of the Oklahoma City play-in game lost a couple years ago, and just talking about how guys needed to be, more locked in as professional, sleeping, what they're putting in their bodies, or drinking, their diets, and so on and so forth, all those different things. And we all left from that saying, okay, well, he's talking about maybe a few people, but the person that we all highlighted, of course, was Zion. Now, look, there's a few things that could be true. He could also have lost trust with the organization, with the staff, with some of the people. And all of that just brings bad communication that ends up finding its way to us. Now, fortunately, you're not supposed to end up talking about it and pointing it out and saying that's bad communication. What the hell are we supposed to do with that? Or say, hey, that's not adding up, that's not math. But this is what we're looking at. We're looking at an organization, I think, that doesn't have the greatest relationship with their superstar, like some people would want to think. A superstar that isn't doing what he's supposed to do in helping this relationship and helping himself self-sabotage. And that becomes something that by the time the information gets to us, it's all over the fucking place. And you can see it as clear as day that no one knows what's going on. When Willie Green comes out of his press conference and someone asks him about his star player, basically, what happened? Was it, or what happened to where, was it the same injury that kept him out of the previous game? And you say, I don't know. You didn't talk to him? You didn't talk in the locker room? You didn't ask anybody? You weren't even curious to know, hey, is he okay? Is he all right? No, just, I guess I was playing basketball. That's not weird or odd to nobody. So it's a bunch of broken and odd relationships across the board. A bunch of people, to blame. But at the end of the day, man, it's more of the same, and it's kind of more and more of what we've been used to over the past 6 years.
But Chris, you mentioned lost trust. It's like, okay, well, you said Aaron Nelson's the problem. Well, you get him out the building, and you still have the same problem. So I guess my question being is like, you scapegoat Aaron Nelson for no good reason, and then you get a whole new staff, fine, but you're still having the same problem. So how can you lose trust when in reality, Chris, are you doing everything in your power to make sure that you're staying on the court? Are you doing everything pregame, postgame, all the professional stuff that it takes to play at an NBA level? Are you doing that? Because also, like, it's very clear there's a communication problem. It's very, very clear. I don't know who writes up these, questionables and he's out and he's upgraded doubtful or whatever it may be, but there's clearly miscommunication with that too, Chaz, because you're being told one thing, and then the injury changes the next day, and then the injury changes the next day, and then there's no follow-up to what happened. Like, I find it insane that a coach doesn't know what happened to his star player. I find that very odd. I find that maybe, are they talking? I have more questions, if that makes sense, Chaz. Like, to me, if Zion goes out in the second quarter with 9 minutes left, my first question at halftime, not even that, is Zion okay? What's going on? But to say I don't know in the presser is very odd to me, Chaz. And then you had these bevy of injuries and questionables, and then out, and then indefinitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, and some of the things I'm gonna say it's a little unfair, but it need to be said. I think everybody who worked for the team is lying. I think Zion is lying. I think organizationally, everyone should be fired, and I mean everyone. Everyone should be let go. I even think media in the building who've been there this past 6 years of this tenure should be relieved of their duties or move on to the Kentucky defender or wherever the fuck they need to go. I think everyone is culpable. Everyone is culpable, right? Even us to a degree. There's things we know that we can't just come out and say about the entire organization. So I just feel like See, if it was it would be so easy for me to just say, well, clearly it's Zion. Get him out the building. And that's one answer. That's one solution, right? And I'm not opposed to that at all. But I still can't get past, you just told me that Herb Jones's shoulder was initially going to be day to day. And now I find out he has a fucking torn rotator cuff. So what, like,
But Chaz, can I stop you there for a second? Because I think this is another question that I have. Who's in charge of that? Who is in charge of like it's not it wouldn't be an Aaron Nelson or an Amy. They aren't that. They're not.
It's not them. That's not
them. Who is
them.
in charge of diagnosing these players? Because Nelson and Atmore, their job is to get them back on the court. And shout out Amy, she's done a great job. Like I think of Dyson Daniels when
he played 70 games last year.
Yeah, Zion played 7 games. Like so, when you say that, who is diagnosing these players and making these? To your point, Chaz, communication. Herb's day to day now, more imaging, and he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Whatever it may be.
Well, look, and we've spoken about the Zion thing ad nauseum in private, right? And it's like this thing about this timeline, right? I'm having some issues. He's having issues with his hamstring, right? And it's like, yo, nothing wrong with you. Nothing. You're fine. You're acting like a hoe. Like, all right, bet. He shows up, he plays, leaves the game, comes back, finishes the game, doesn't play the next game. The following morning, they find out there's a strain, to which the significance of the strain severity we do not know. So the point is, that strain probably been here this entire time, and you missed it. That's to me, that's the greater story. Zion is like probably the top 3 worst professionals in any sports, right? He's like probably like that's undeniable, but I can't fathom how this is your second major injury miss this season. And it's not like some new thing, because again, I go back to like CJ's injury. All right, CJ got I think he had a punctured lung or something like that, and it's like, all right, why is he still playing? Like, why did he almost have to like fucking die for you to be like, all right, go sit down? Brandon, I saw he kicked the bottom of Dylan Brooks's shoe. He's out for 2 months with a toe, but it's not turf toe. You ask Willie Green, he don't know what it is. Brandon calls his parents in. It's like a big old thing. It's a big like thing going on. And I'm like, yo, how does this keep happening? Like, how does this keep happening? And you know what the answer is? It don't matter how it keep happening. It don't matter who's responsible. Get everyone out the building. At this point, all y'all guilty. Everybody getting a whooping. Get everybody out the building.
I know you want everyone out the building. It's just not. Chaz is just not going to happen. It's just
It's not feasible. It's not feasible, right? But ultimately, who's ever in charge, like everything you're in charge of, like for example, Trajan was supposed to be in charge of the medical staff and recovery and the transition team, right? So Trajan was the secret sauce pause, because now Trajan's gone. You got Token covering everything now, and now things just go to shit. So who's in charge of it now? It's just a disaster.
It's lack of communication. But
Justin, at the end of the day, to what Chaz is saying, and to what I'm sure Ross will say as well, they failed. Everybody's failed. Everybody. Another experience of a superstar entering New Orleans that has failed. And this time, like, I thought that there was like I always believe that everyone deserves, even if it's 1%, there's some type of responsibility to go around to every party involved. The thing about this is just that it's a circus. It's a circus, and it's not getting the attention that a circus should probably get at this point. It's kind of kept under wraps. People are downplaying it. You know what I mean? The 3-7, no one's freaking out. They're blaming everything simply on the injuries and and some folks believe, man, when we get healthy. But at the end of the day, we're having the same conversation and the same questions about particular players that we've had year after year. It's like everybody's failed. Griffith's failed, ownership has failed, coaches failed, and Zion's failed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the truth.
Before we get to Ross, Chris, like I keep thinking back the time, like literally when you started off a show during the offseason, you're like, it's another big offseason. It's like, it's the same shit over and over and over again. And that's the most frustrating part. And Ross, I've been looking on Twitter the last 48 hours and, Chaz talks about, trust, and same with Chris, like, and believing, like, I don't think the fan base believes anymore what they put out. Pause. Like, I don't think, I don't know if I had the
that
PTSD. What I'm saying though, Chris, Ross is, and we've been talking about it. So he's out indefinitely with a hamstring strain. I keep looking at people don't believe it, or they don't know the severity of it because they've been lied to so many times. And that's the issue. It's the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, look, to Chaz's point earlier, like there's been stuff over the years that we've alluded to or not said. But we've been pretty steadfast, I think, in our like distrust of the messaging that comes out. And I think, I think folks that maybe don't have an inside track or aren't doing as much research or aren't as involved like as we are, have caught up, right? Like you tell me the same story over and over year after year. And it's like, the first time, whatever, it's like your kid comes home and they gotta, they got in trouble at school. Well, the first time it was, it wasn't my fault. It was, I just got caught up in, with these other people and whatever. And then the second time is, it's a different story. Well, third time, now you just got a bad kid. You got a kid you need to go talk to. That's kind of what this is. This sort of is like for, I think the average fan, right? The fan who pays their money, wants to go to the game, see a good product. I think though I think you've started to lose those people. Like just the trust is gone, right? Because you've spun the same lie over and over and over. And even if you don't want to call it a lie, you can call it a lack of transparency. And it just, I think the average person is really, really frustrated. And again, we're not even talking about basketball. No. Like we're not talking about basketball. This has nothing to do, in my opinion, with losing games. This has to do with, now I just feel like you're lying to me. You're not being forthright. We're paying money for these tickets, but the best players never play. And then you tell me they're going to play, but then they're out like, 2 to 3 times as long as you originally said. And like that gets frustrating over 1 year. It gets really frustrating over 2 years, but you got to think, I mean, guys, this has been going on for 5-6 years now. Like that's a long time. It's been going on longer, but we'll just call it the David Griffin era. Like this has been going on a really, really long time. And there's no sensible results. There's nothing practical. It's not like, well, yeah, hey, look, you can lie to me if we can, if we're fighting for a championship every year, but we're not doing that. And so at this point, I think you've just like, you're between a rock and a hard place of, what the hell am I going to support this franchise for? Man. Like you're just not giving me a lot to support.
It goes back to they raised ticket prices. They raised ticket prices again last year or to this year. And so it leads to the question, Chris, well, what do you do now? Because look, whether you like it or not, you're 3-7. Chaz has been saying this now for a fucking month. The month of November is an absolute gauntlet. You got just this week, you got Brooklyn, a back-to-back with Denver and LA, and then at OKC. You're 3-7 with those four. I told you, if you fuck around and you lose to Brooklyn tomorrow, you're staring 3-12, whatever it is. You're staring 3-11 right in the face. You really are. Because say what you want about Denver, they got the best player in the league, and say what you want about the Lakers, they have an incredible duo in AD and LeBron. What leads to my question here, Chris, is okay, Zion just say he's out for 6 weeks. Okay, just say he's out for another month and a half. He's already off to a bad start, by the way. Career lows in every category. You have him locked in now for 4 more years. But from what I understand, Chaz, about the contract, are the last 2 not guaranteed?
Yeah, his contract has a bunch of like outs in it. Like that's why his thing is kind of like, and you can move him kind of when you need to, more or less.
Right. But Chris, back to this. So like everyone's kind of sick and tired of the whole Zion thing and being injured and not playing. And I think he's missed like 40% of it or games played or something, some crazy stat. But yeah, I'm locked in for 36 this year, 39 next year. But I kind of worry about the asset. Like it's not even a good asset anymore. Like what team would, even if you wanted to, like people are like, let's end the Brandon Zion thing. Okay, like what are you going to get? Picks? If that, like you just get picks. Like think about it. You're going to get picks.
I think look, they won't tank, right? And this
you can't take 10 games in.
Right. They won't. And the thing is that like typically the schedule kind of one way or another, the schedule is going to paint their path for them, whether they like it or not upcoming. They're either A, going to surprise and stay somewhere close to water until they get more reinforcements back, or B, they're going to go on a 10, 11 game losing streak. And it's going to be like clear as fucking day. Like, okay, it's time for them to make some big changes. Coach will be fired. We'll be talking about other people needing to go, trades and all these other different things will happen. But we're not there yet, right? If you're asking what you do in regards to Zion, I mean, you only have 2 options. You either A, you look to get new faces in the building that can help save what you think is a relationship with the superstar that you think can kind of finally get to him and help him be more of a professional, if that's possible. Or B, you got to trade him. And it's fucked up because, yeah, I mean, your return on your investment is gonna be horrible. But what other option do you have? If you're telling me that Zion has traits that make him somewhat of I don't want to use the word cancer, but let's just call him an individual dilemma. That kind of just it takes the life out of everything, whether he's there or he's not there. Then you have to move him because the distractions outweigh anything you think you're going to get out of him. And I was talking to my girl about it the other day. She said, she's like, the most consistent thing about Zion is that he's inconsistent. And that's in his diet. That's in his game. That's in his availability. Treatment. That's in treatment. That's in everything about him. So how long can you continue to play that game with someone and simply put it at, well, he's just immature. He's 24 years old. No, man. At some point, man, you're a grown man. You're getting paid millions of dollars. This franchise is tied to you. You have to find a way to grow up and do the things that you are required to do to be even close to what this franchise is asking of you. Yeah. But no matter what, the coach has to go. You're going to have to get rid of, I don't know his relationship with David Griffin, but I can't imagine it's a good one. But those are the 2 guys that I think you have to look into if you're going to try to figure out something around Zion and then make it.
But how can you do that when you know he's just not being a professional? Like that's my thing. Look, have your thoughts about Willie and Griffin. Whatever. There are no wrong thoughts. But Ross said it best. Like he's not a professional. He's not, and he hasn't been. And like these are the comments that drive me insane. It's like the Pelicans have it near 8 players hurt. Why are you guys crying about Zion? Well, here's a fun fact. The Pelicans have played 400 regular season games since Zion Williamson has been drafted in 2019. He's played in 47.5% of them, 190 games. The injuries, DeJounte Murray's a freak hand injury. CJ McCollum had a abdominal. Trey Murphy, what is it? Is it a hammy? Trey's got the hammy. Jordan Hawkins has a lower back strain. Herb Jones is a fucking rotator cuff because some dude landed on him. Like these aren't just hamstring issues, okay? Multiple times in his 6 years, he's shown up out of shape. He doesn't eat properly. He doesn't train properly. He doesn't work hard. He has one fucking move in 6 years. Like, what are we talking about here? At some point, this guy's supposed to be the face of your franchise. He's the number 1 overall pick. He's making the most money. You got to hold him accountable. He doesn't do the things necessary to stay on an NBA basketball court. And I'm sick and tired of giving this dude a pass, because here's the thing. Here's the reality of the situation. This group was pretty hard on Brandon Ingram in the offseason. Very hard. Zion Williamson deserves all of this right now. All of it.
Justin, what would you like to do?
What would I? You got to blow it up. I mean, that would be my thing. I've seen it. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. You are who you are. You are who you are. Sorry, Ross. Go ahead.
No. Because look, I think I want to have that conversation. But it's like before we go there, you can't. It's different with Zion. Like it's not like if Jokic or was hurt or like I don't know, Kyrie or something. He's a difficult player. He's an unbelievable talent, but he's not like a plug and play in terms of building a roster. And so I think that's the frustration, is that you talk about building a roster around him. Like he's not LeBron, where you take LeBron and put him on any team in the NBA, doesn't matter, and he's going to immediately be the best player, and he's going to mold everyone else around him. He's not that. So what you're really talking about is this guy that you've invested a lot in financially, but you're considering investing a lot in from like an organizational perspective because you want to, put the right pieces around him. Well, he's not worthy of that anymore. Like you don't go, like nobody was putting the right piece. I'm trying to think of like another headache, like even DeMarcus Cousins when he was in Sacramento or something. Like there's not everybody earns the right to to have a team put around them. And Zion no longer is worthy of that, like of that right. He to me is now like, could he go somewhere else and be really good? Maybe at some point, but it's not going to be here under the current leadership and under the current coach and under the current owner and under the current GM. It's not going to be here. Not without crazy changes. I think even if you change a lot of stuff, it's just too late.
I agree with Ross to a point. I think I said this maybe 2 seasons ago. I said when you're dealing with a player like Zion, who's look for every flaw the motherfucker got, one move, overweight, don't hustle all the time, he's undoubtedly your best player. Like it's really not close. And that speaks a lot about team construction as well and what you did with your war chest, right? So my line of thinking always was you try everything until nothing works and then you get rid of them. The problem is you didn't try everything and you ran out of time. You ran out the clock on your situation. You didn't try to get a good coach. You didn't try to get like build the shooters around them type thing. You never got the center.
Never made him the guy.
You always have
you really never forced him to a point where you're gaining data like that. Like that's a different brand of information gathering. Now you can say, well, fuck it. Like now I don't need the information. I got enough. Let's move on. And I'm cool with that as well. But you can't let David Griffin make the decision. That's my point. The new person or someone new has to make this decision. And I say that because you're going to, and I saw a couple people mentioning Ja. I'm like, bro, I don't know how close people follow the Memphis Grizzlies, but Ja Morant on this team is the same exact situation. It's just, it's organizational.
So let me, because you bring up a good point, Chaz, because this is where they fucked up. They didn't fuck up this year and they didn't fuck up last year. They fucked up year one because they never held him accountable, because they let him do whatever he wanted. He brought his parents in to have a meal. I've never heard of it. Once you get drafted, this isn't high school. Once you get drafted, the parents like, you're out. Like you're a professional. They never took the kid gloves off. He comes into summer league, overweight, fine. Training camp, torn meniscus, and not to mention the torn meniscus, which should last like Dyson Daniels came back in 5 weeks, something like that. Like he took 8 weeks. Comes in San Antonio, minutes restriction. Then you had the time burst. Then you had the whole bubble thing where he randomly disappeared for 2 weeks, in which if you're plugged into the franchise, exactly why. Then he comes back overweight. Then he has the foot thing. Then he's
even
out
now,
for the whole year. He
even
goes
now
to Portland.
they're covering for him.
Yeah, it's at this point, Ross, I'm glad you bring that up. You gotta stop covering for him. He does well when he gets called out. CJ McCollum called him out All-Star weekend. CJ McCollum called again post, when they lost to whoever it was, the Thunder.
OKC,
yeah. And then he got called out.
The best he
Shaq
ever
called
played
him against what? Shaq called him against the
Shaq
Lakers.
and Barkley after the Laker thing when he was fat and out of shape. That was that run he went on, that 30, 40 games or whatever after the whole world embarrassed this man.
Vegas,
was the best he ever played here. It was the best. It was the most committed he ever was. It was the best he looked. He responds to being publicly called out. Like, some people need to be coddled. Some people need to be kicked in the ass publicly. He seems like that guy, and we've they just refuse. Even now, they are refusing to just call it like it is, man. Call it like it is. There's no reason. This is rock bottom. Like, this is rock bottom. It's not going to get any worse. What do you have to lose? Change the strategy.
Can I ask you something? Because I thought about this a lot. Because Willie Green, and look, I think Willie's in a bad situation with this guy. Because I coach at a high school level, but I've dealt with assholes like this. Willie Green has had opportunities night in and night out, to call him out, and he hasn't. Do you think he's being told not to?
I think I don't know what Willie Green,
because that's not fair to him. That's not fair to him.
You know, man. See, it's different because Willie Green not good. Like, if Willie Green was good, I would hold him to a different standard. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, Stan Van Gundy called everyone out. You know what I mean? Like, and to
people
me,
like it.
To me, the rookie year wasn't the year. To me, it was after you found something and you didn't build on it and you fired the coach. That, to me, that's the year. You fired the person who found the thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? You fired the person who found the motherfucking thing. And now that the person who found the thing, who you still had under contract for 4 more fucking years, you want to listen to Josh Hart and fucking Brandon and fired, like, probably, I'm going to say the best coach this organization has had thus far, even ever. Just if we going by just accolades, right? And then things just snowball from there, because the precedent got set rookie year, it got set sophomore year. It's been, the motherfucker was in Portland working out at the Nike thing, didn't want to talk to David Griffin, would only talk to Trajan Langdon. Like, this has been a thing from the beginning. I don't understand. Truthfully, like, bro, they wanted to hire Monty Williams, bro. Monty Williams not even in the league anymore.
And look, and Chaz, here's the thing about Griff that I go back and forth with, and I think we talked about it on the show that me and Lito did. They got deleted. Goddamn YouTube and their regulations.
Blocked. If they get deleted, got blocked.
Yeah,
copyright blocked.
Yeah,
Lito still hadn't figured this out. It's really impressive.
But it's like, I used to wonder, right? Like, when Griff would say, when the information of the reports came out about him not really liking having to deal with LeBron, I was like, was that, this dude, got you to the, the highest level you can get twice in this league, right? So why would somebody not like that? And I would, and I was thinking, well, maybe it's all ego, right? And now it's like, maybe he just don't know how to fucking deal with a superstar, or with somebody, what it means to have that caliber of talent and all the shit that comes with it, which means is a lot of bullshit. Somebody said the other day, he's a pain in the ass. You know what? Most superstar talents, whether you know it or not, are how you choose to what type of plans you put together to be able to deal with it is a different thing. Chaz, Ross, y'all both said this started at the beginning, right? Fuck Stan Van Gundy. It starts when you bring back Alvin Gentry, a dude from another. That should have never happened.
Who you gave the answers to the test to, and he couldn't pass.
Perfect example, right? Bears fans going through this shit right now in Chicago. You go out and get a quarterback, right? Caleb Williams, number 1 overall draft pick. You trade Justin Fields, right? You're going into a whole new era, new quarterback, new everything. Why are you bringing back the coach from the previous regime? Right. Why are you doing that? That you are now going to have to fire and have your young quarterback going into his second year with second offensive coordinators, second head coach already. Why would you create that environment? That's part of the issue with this as well. Like Zion doesn't get the finger pointed at him enough. And look, bro, I shouldn't. At some point, I shouldn't have to continue to call you out for you to handle your business as an adult, as a grown man. At some point, It's on you to grow up, but it's also on me to make decisions. It's on me to continue to point the finger at you. If you're not answering behind closed doors, then listen. Everybody calling you out. Everybody got to call you out until something gets done versus passive aggressive messages, sneak dissing, shit that that gets to us that we can't even fucking talk about. Like you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason. Like too many things. But it all started at the fucking beginning. And I'm starting to feel like look, man, maybe Griff, ownership, whoever you want to point at, just were incapable of handling a talent like him and knowing exactly what it was going to take to come anywhere close to his potential, the bullshit and the rewards that come with it.
And you know what? Go ahead. No, I just wanted to add this thing too about Griff. The crazy thing about Griff is Griff can't even handle Griff can't handle role players. Like Griff couldn't handle Josh Hart. Like that's like insane.
You know why, Chaz? And I have some. You know why? Because he wants to be friends with everybody.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
And I'm watching Moneyball the other night, and oh my god, Brad Pitt. I was like, what is the actor's name? Playing I'm Ross. Who's the general manager? I am like botching this whole thing. Who's the general manager of the A's for Moneyball?
Billy Beane.
Billy Beane.
Thank you, Billy Beane. Billy Beane doesn't travel with the team because he's like, I can't be too close to these guys. Like, I don't want to be friends. Like, I don't want to be friends. I have to make decisions, based on them. Then they have the whole Jeremy Giambi thing where he's like, I'll handle Jeremy. Griffin wants to be friends and liked with everybody in the organization. And when you're the top guy, you can't be afraid of confrontation. You can't be afraid of holding people accountable and setting a standard. And that doesn't just go with basketball operations. That just goes with running a business in general. And I think that's where Griff really fucked up, Ross. I think that he wanted to be best friends with Zion and sing Kumbaya and rap, play the fucking piano and say, you're my best friend. And that's just not how it works. That's not how you deal with superstars. That's not how you deal with anybody in the NBA or MLB or NFL or NHL or MLS or whatever it is. You got to hold people accountable. And when you don't hold people accountable, they get to go do whatever the hell they want. And Zion, for 6 straight years now, has done whatever the hell he wants with no repercussions. Because guess what? He knows he can just wake up the next day, got money in the account, everything's good. That's the reality of the situation.
He hired a coach that he lauded as like a culture changer, great guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Gave this man a 5-year contract and he fired him because he told a player to turn the music down. Like that's what happened. Like that's like one of the biggest issues that him and Brandon had. Like, hey, can you turn your music down? The coach is trying to talk over here. Like, man, Grip, man, get this weirdo out the building, dog. Like, it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
It's just not gonna.
Like, you doing all this creepy shit, going to other men hotel room and like playing the piano, like serenading men. Like, man, what kind of shit? What kind of message are you sending to like everybody around here? So, like, it's a free for all. Like the Pelicans, the Pelicans just give away money, bro. They just give away money. Oh, yeah. Even the current coaching staff, you have to retain the coaching staff of Stan Van Gundy because you extended them when you extended him, and you fired him. Like, you fired him for no reason. You really didn't have a reason to fire him. The man coached through the fucking bubble year. You literally
The funny
didn't
part
have a
is,
reason.
and the funny part is, they actually had a coach in Chris Finch. But
And it's also why I think like all of that goes back to why nobody ever says anything publicly about anything. This is a don't rock the boat organization.
Yeah.
Multiple people have gotten contract extensions that no one knows about, the amounts of which no one is a total unknown. Like, these are not normal things that happen in normal organizations. All of those things for me lead to this weird, secretive, like, situation that they've created that is just toxic as hell.
it's the perfect word. It's toxic. It's a perfect word. We have 247 people here on a Sunday night. I really appreciate it. Make sure you smash the like button, helps the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification, let you know we're going live. As always, this show is powered by 4D Energy. Chris, I think we've talked enough about Zion Williamson for 40 minutes. So he's out indefinitely. A guy that is returning tomorrow is Trey Murphy.
Yep.
Of course, we'll be on a minutes restriction, but going to be good to see number 25 with Pelicans tomorrow. I asked this question on Twitter, of course, because Twitter has very intelligent people on there. I said, is he going to start? Is he going to start, come off the bench? And a lot of people are like, this is a fucking stupid question. It's like, well, is it? Because you're going to throw him into the fire and just start him where? You're going to start him at the 2? Or you start him at the 4? Okay, you start him if he's going to be on a minutes restriction. Like, is he going to come off the bench or is he going to start, in your opinion? Because I think he hasn't played. He's got no playing time. He's got to get accustomed to, I guess it's going to be Jose, Brandon, Boston, Brandon Ingram, Yves, Missy, and Trey. That would be your starting 5.
Yeah.
Christ Lord.
Or would you rather have him come off the bench and kind of ease his way back?
Yeah, your second best player currently that's available to play has to start if you're in the business of winning games, of still trying to find ways to win games. Whether he's only going to be on the floor for 20 minutes or whatever it is, they can figure that out. Or we'll see that tomorrow, but he has to start. I think, and for the foreseeable future, like, he's gonna be starting anyway. Like, between Zion being out and Herb being out, like, they need as many NBA caliber talents as possible to be on the floor to start games. So what's the point of bring him off the bench? Why? For when he is ready, when you're still 4 or 5 players out, to have him start then? No, start him now. Get him into a rhythm of being a starter at some. I mean, he's your second best player. You have to put him out there. And it's funny, like one of the things that we have been talking about coming into the season was unlocking Trey and all the different things that were blocking him. Well, he has nothing but opportunity now.
Yep.
Nothing but fucking opportunity now. Trey can dribble the ball for 20 straight seconds if he wants to. Now, who's there to stop him? Jalen Noel? What's
Javonte Green?
Javonte Green? No, like, we're gonna I think this is also a really good situation for him as well, to really show maybe certain parts of his game that he felt like is probably restricted, either due to what he's being asked to do when people are healthy, or for just the having to play 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th fiddle. Now this motherfucker's the second best player on the team.
How does this happen with Ross? Like, how did half of your camera get? Sorry, Chris.
Is he in a different room?
I made it work. I don't know what happened there.
So, Chris, you don't want JRE starting games anymore. And this is before I asked this question before Zion was
and
out,
Birmingham.
Definitely. Yeah.
And Birmingham, he can start as many games as he wants in Birmingham. But no, he's your second best player right now. You need him out there. Immediately?
I got a question for you. Who's your best player on the team right now? I think it's debatable.
It's not Brandon.
It's a Brandon, all right.
No, it's definitely a Brandon. Like, you had the first name right. Like, you definitely had the first name right.
Cut it out, man.
you got a half of it right.
Sorry, I mean, well, shit. He was the other night.
Brandon
was that Orlando?
Brandon Boston's been your best player for like the last like 3 games. Yeah, Chaz. I mean, Trey coming back.
That's the thing that really like. I just wish Zion was a terrible player, bro. It would be so much easier if this was just a totally Anthony Bennett situation. Because you'd be like, man, fuck this guy. Get him out of here. But the fact that Justin, like, he asked that question, but he wasn't, like, totally joking. Like, it's like, hey, you can make an argument that recently,
yes.
Wait,
better. Wait, Chaz, you thought I was joking? No,
I knew you weren't joking. No, I knew you weren't joking, and that's the problem. That's what I mean. Like the drop off in talent is like it's insurmountable. Like they did such a terrible job building this team. But overall, man, I wish Trey would take a little more time, just to get 100%.
That's what I'm scared about rushing in the starting lineup. I am scared about rushing.
And you don't really have that player with the gravity to kind of like take the amount of attention off of Trey like you would have if you had a player who was really good at attacking downhill, drawing 2 and 3 defenders. But I mean, shit, it's now or never for him as far as like playing this season. Like, you gotta just go out there and give it your best shot. I would ideally you like to ease them back into the rotation, but it's like you can't. Like you got the mash squad out there right now. But see, I'm thinking about what happened last year, and it's like it's a hamstring too. That's why I'm like, oh God, I hope nothing crazy happened. But fuck, you gotta roll the dice, man. It costs to be the boss. He just got a real good contract. Like the only person I think is stopping right now is Jose. Jose, like, watch out, bitch. Watch out. Jose's throwing that. Jose's shooting that motherfucking ball.
Jose shoot. I'll tell you what. No, Jalen, is it Noel? Jalen Noel. He gets his shots up too. Okay. Noel comes to the game and he's ready to go. Ross, what are you expecting from Trey?
I mean, just like the same. Like I don't.
It's gonna hurt him not playing with Zion.
Yeah, like he just isn't that type of player that's gonna just come back, create his own shot, look awesome. I mean, I don't have any issue with him starting. I mean, for me, sometimes I think we overdo this whole like easing people. Like if I was injured, I would want to start, right? Because you go through warm ups, you get warm, and then let's just start the game type thing. And play the first half, play the first quarter, and then be done. I always found it odd, this whole like, let's play 5 minutes and then, maybe give him.
And that's the dumbest thing you can do for a hamstring.
Like once you're loose, just go play. So I'm not too worried about that. I mean, I doubt they would have rushed him back. I mean, what are you going to rush him back to be part of this lineup? I think he's probably healthy, and I mean, I am looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing legitimate NBA players like on our roster. Like I know people. I got a hard time a few weeks ago about calling them the Thanasis 5 or whatever, but like we have guys that are getting minutes that I don't really think belong in the NBA much, like the very end of a rotation or something. But so yeah, like however much Trey can play is going to be so much better than watching JRE play at all. So whatever he is capable of doing, just go ahead. Like it's just the truth.
He's not lying.
Guys, at halftime last night or the other night, Jaron Collins is recorded saying that Trey Jemison brought the juice to the second unit. I mean, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. That is where we're at with it.
See, that's the problem. That's the problem right fucking there. That's why I say everyone's culpable. Everybody in the building, everybody,
But what are they supposed to do, Chaz? What are they supposed to do?
Man, I'll tell you what you do. How about a follow-up? You out there selling fucking Girl Scout Built Bars? How about a follow-up? What do you mean by that? Like, can you expound on that, Coach? Like,
it was a halftime.
You've been here 4 years. Bro, you've been here 4 years. It's been 4 years you've been here, Darren Collins. You've been here 4 years. And the defense has been dog shit all season. Your rotation's been dog shit. Even when you know who playing in the game, your rotation's been dog shit. All of y'all been dog shit. You've been dog shit since you got here. Shout out to Teaspoon. I'm sure she's a great human being. Teaspoon ain't even in the WNBA no more because she was dog shit as a coach. Everybody know this. Like, everybody know it. No, everybody know it.
Did you think it was weird? Did you think it was weird? Did you think it was weird?
I thought it was very weird.
Chris, I guess you weren't on the show. Did you think it was weird that Zion asked Teaspoon to come to the game the other night?
Doesn't that add to the mystery and the conspiracy of all of this shit? To where you're telling
me it was
me
let on the floor.
Yeah, like you're telling me it's an injury, but even, which there probably still is some kind of situation happening there, but he also needed Teaspoon to come down. He said it post game, like, "Hey,
Chris,
I needed you."
Chris, you think the front office knew? You think they knew that she was coming down?
Willie Green didn't know if Zion still had a hamstring to start the second half of the Cavalier game. So how the fuck am I supposed to know? No one knows.
I'll say this, because I don't care whether it comes off as like what. I don't really care.
Trust me, we don't.
All. Is that this is odd behavior? This isn't. It's not odd to have somebody you're close to, but it's odd the way that Zion is doing. This is why I keep saying there's more at play here. There's some potential for me. I think some mental things. Like he seems a bit unstable to me. Like just the things you hear and the way he doesn't show up one day and he shows up the next day and then he checks himself out of a game and then he's and he's kind of crying almost, saying that he needs these other people, that he needs Teaspoon at the game. And it's behavior that I'm not making fun of him. I'm just giving my, I'm not a psychologist, but I just find some of this to be like, it seems a bit unstable to me. Like, and it all goes back to this thing where what is going on here? Like these are not normal things that are going on everywhere else. It's just odd behavior to me.
I just find it odd that the Pelicans let go of Teaspoon. They even had, if you think about it, now that I think about it, Gail Benson even met with Zion the day they let go of Teaspoon. Remember that they invited Zion to the practice facility and Gail sat down with Zion like, look, we're gonna let go of Teaspoon. Teaspoon then goes get the head coaching job at the Chicago Sky, gets fired a year in, and then Zion invites Teaspoon to the game in which the front office and ownership let her go, fired her. But then Zion's like, no, you're going to come. And not only you're going to come, you're going to pause. Damn. You're going to sit floor. You're going to sit on the floor as I pan out of the camera. You're going to sit on the floor and then pictures and media availability all sees it. I think that was a weird situation. Weird situation.
I don't think it's weird that he had someone close to him come to the game. I think this everything that was that happened around it is what's weird to me. The fact that you make such a big deal about it, the fact that it needs to be this thing that's talked about, and that you just really needed her there, like for what?
The fuck?
Like
what the fuck? Like what? Like
for what reason? Like it's just an odd.
It's just a pack of weirdos on this team, dog. It's a pack of weird men on this team, dog. I can't keep talking around it. Like we trying to be as respectful as possible. These dudes is weird. They weird. They biting each other. They doing all kind of weird shit. Like these dudes is weird, dog. Like this team is weird. Get all these weird motherfuckers off the team, dog. Chris Paul ran a tight ship. Like it wasn't all this weirdness around the team. These dudes is weird. Everybody's weird. Everybody's weird. Like just get them out of here.
Chris, are you gonna?
You know what I find weird? I find weird that we just let Justin say one of the nastiest things that I've ever heard on this show. It's one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard, and it was aggressive. It was aggressive too. Like
you said, spread them open. You let somebody on the show say spread them open. You didn't say a fucking thing. But play the thing. That's fine.
We ain't no motherfucking freaks. We some family men. We getting it paper. Know what I'm talking about?
Smoking that smoke, doing that coke.
This is the craziest song. Like,
Yo,
that's the craziest.
Just says gangbanging. I mean, how does one become the guy, the drug dealer with the sunglasses and the button down? How does one get that?
You know what's the craziest thing? Smokey Robinson is a legend, but someone was in the studio with him and said, "This the one."
This is it.
Smokey Robinson.
This is why you can't have yes men. This is why you can't just have yes men.
It's like you gotta have you gotta have a no guy.
Somebody had to have said.
All right,
this
we got to
is-
get
this is very-
to. We're
Let
at
me
the
ask
fan. Can you ask it after? I gotta play a commercial, or you yell at me, so I can't play the damn commercial.
Run it.
All right, we're taking a 30-second break, and then Ross has a question. Then we get the fan questions. Let's hear from Standard Mortgage.
Buying a house is one of the largest financial investments you'll ever make. That's why you need the experience and the support of the Standard Mortgage team. Whether you're looking to purchase, refinance, or consolidate debt through a cash-out refinance loan, Standard Mortgage will help you every step of the way. For the last century, we've grown to 7 locations across Louisiana, but we've always called New Orleans home. While others are busy raising your rates, we're focused on raising the standard. Visit us today at stanmore.com, STANMOR.com. NMLS number 44912, equal housing lender.
Shout out to Standard Mortgage. Go ahead, Ross.
No, I mean, look, I just was kind of doing the math, looking back at previous years and where I think we'll be 20-something games in. You start to look at those last 60 and to reasonably make the playoffs, to even have a chance to get in the play-in, you'd have to probably go something like 40-20, which I don't even know how many players will be back on the active roster by the 20th game of the year. So like but I'm just saying, let's just do that math. We're not going to go 40-20. We're there, like we all agree to that, right? Like over the last 60 games, they're probably not going to go 40-20. And even then, I think that would still only get you to something probably like 45 wins, which is, maybe you're a threat for a play-in game situation. But what I'm getting at here is, I genuinely think this season is over from a threat to make the playoffs perspective. I don't see it as feasible based on where you're at today and where I think we'll be in a couple of weeks. With that in mind, I want to spend some time talking about the option, like the realistic options, assuming that y'all somewhat agree with like the season from, again, I'm not saying the season is lost or whatever, but I think you're not going to make the playoffs just based on where you're going to be after 20 games. So like, what do y'all think are some realistic things that could happen or should happen moving forward with that in mind?
That's a great question, Ross. Shout out to Theo's. I went to Theo's for lunch with my friend Carmine, and he said we were talking about the Pelicans, and he's like, Chaz, with some teams, with some people, Carmine's an actor. He said, with some actors, they tell us you'll never work in this town again. He said, with some other actors, they tell you you'll never work in this country again. The Pelicans are in a never work in this country again type situations, schedule-wise, health-wise, coaching-wise, just in totality. I think this is the perfect opportunity for, look, you do your fire sale, and I mean, I don't care who you traded for this offseason. I feel like the goal right now has to be to try to get the full control of that Bucks pick. Ideally, you get your center of the future, and I think you reevaluate the Zion situation in the offseason, but you gotta sell right now while you can. Even if you want to sell the rights to the Bucks pick, you gotta do it like soon, like do it ASAP while people are still interested in it. Don't let the Bucks go on a 10-game win streak and the shit loses its value. Like, let's start maneuvering like soon. Anybody who can move before December who's healthy, move them. Anybody, once December comes, make your move in December. Don't push it to February. Do it now. And you're in the tax.
I'm glad you asked. Go ahead, Chris.
I also wanted to bring this wonderful song by Smokey Robinson in spoken word. Here you guys go.
Wasting your time, drinking that wine, smoking that smoke and doing that coke, dealing that dope, giving up hope. School is a joke. Gang banging.
It's the fist pump.
Gang banging.
So perfect chance for you to trade Brandon Ingram and for you to fire the coach. Perfect opportunity for, if you don't do anything else, bare minimum, you can start over with a new coach. You can move Brandon Ingram, and the Zion situation is going to take care of itself one way or another. Maybe with CJ being an expiring contract going into next season, maybe you can also shop and see what his market is, and maybe seeing if you can get something from him. But bare minimum, it gives you, if this season is doomed, as Ross says, and it's over with completely, and you are 20 games in, you're staring at 5 wins, or less.
Chris, do you think it's over?
In the NBA, no. I don't think it's ever over. I mean, but I don't think that right now what they're looking up at is, and it helps them long term to be fighting again for a play-in situation, to be fighting again to see what players look like when all are on the floor with each other. That doesn't help. We're gonna be playing this game that we always play all over again. Okay, you get Herb back, then you get DeJounte back, then you get CJ back. Trey just came back. Then you got Brandon. Okay, then Zion's coming back. Then bam, Brandon gets hurt again, and we just continue this shit over and over and over again to where you never even get a chance to see what everything looks like on full display. To where at best you would have to assume that if they can turn this around, they're gonna be staring in at playing competition, type of situation.
I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, "Look, he wasn't wrong." He's like, "Look, Willie Green's first year, they started 3-16, made play-in tournament, made the playoffs." I'm just like, "Oh my fucking God, they're gonna play this card again. They're gonna start off something crazy. They'll get completely healthy, and they're gonna try to make a play-in run again, and people are gonna be somewhat satisfied."
I think it's a different time. New salary cap.
I have noticed this, Chaz, and look, I have noticed this. I've noticed more and more fans starting to realize the bullshit and actually getting frustrated with what this process looks like. I feel like you're completely right. The fan and does the organization think that way? Does the organization feel that way?
The organization doesn't care about the fans, because the fans are gonna tickets, like you say, tickets $2. You know what I'm saying? Fuck, you get it's a 4 minute. People will watch there's people who watch buy DVDs of homeless people fighting in the street. There's all, people are a sucker for entertainment. So people are always gonna a fiend gonna be a fiend. So you can't really, they could put some bullshit. This year is gonna be the year, guys, and they're gonna be the same people y'all so negative. Gonna be the same, I almost say the R word. It's gonna be the same craziness. But I think it's over. I think it's over just because what's the goal? Again, what's the goal? If your goal was to gather data, you ain't got it now. Or you have whatever the last test you took, that was the data. You know what I'm saying? Brandon's contract's expiring. CJ severely overpaid at this stage in his career. You just extended Trey. Even if you wanted to run it back, you got about 10 players under contract, and you're right up against the tax. It's over. And you got to make a move. I mean, it's over for this team.
And they went 36-46 that year. The year that you're talking about, that first year, that, I don't think that's getting you the 10 seed anymore. In my opinion, I don't think you. I just think the other teams are better. I mean, I don't. That to me seems like a long shot. I do feel like this is when Smokey went off the rails. Something went wrong.
Chris, why do you have so many videos of Smokey it's a little irresponsible, to be honest with you, to have this many videos of Smokey.
I'm drinking that wine, wasting your time, smoking that smoke, doing that.
That second game, we got our ass kicked. Or the second half, we just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't.
That's what you need. That's what you need.
See, that's a coach, bro. No, that's for real. No, that's a fucking coach. That's a coach.
Your guys, they scored 60 points. Well, we gave up 180. All right. We gave up 180 points. If you want to be happy with them scoring 60 points, great. But they score 180 on us. That's what you need. That's what you need.
Yeah, we're an hour in. I mean, you got anything else for us? We said we would do an hour. Is that crazy?
No,
Is that crazy? It's just hard to have a.
We ain't no motherfucking freaks. We some family men. We getting it paper. Know what I'm talking about?
Hey, man.
That's ridiculous. You know, it's just
I got one question.
The untrained eye.
that's a great.
I got one question for y'all. Would y'all trade DeJounte Murray?
No.
I would. I'm glad you asked that.
God.
I would. I would. Well, it's more of everyone and everything is available for me right now. Yeah. Like it's not because I don't really know that it was before. I feel like I could convince myself that maybe there's the foundation of like maybe you have some players that could be the foundation of something moving forward, assuming that. Again, this is previously like, man, assuming Zion is this perennial all-star, you know, maybe some of these other things should all stay. And you've got at least the building blocks, right? You don't want to just tear it all the way down to the bottom. I don't think you really have a building block right now. Like, I think you have some players that are good. I like Trey Murphy. I think he's a really good player. I could see him being an important piece on a championship type. We have some Drew Holiday type guys. They're not going to lead you to a title, but I could see them being contributors on very, very good. You don't think Herb Jones could be a contributor on a really good team? Like, I think we have players like that. But
so
part of me is saying you've got to you have to go find whatever the next foundational piece is. And maybe that look, I don't think it's out of the question to go find it without trading Murray or without trading some of these other players, because I've said from the jump, and Justin's probably heard me say this 100 times. Our best asset has always been our own picks.
Yeah.
It's always been the war chest. The war chest was never anything other than our own pick, because our own pick has always been the best pick we got.
For real.
And this year that's especially true. And so if there is any belief in the roster, and you like guys like Trey Murphy, and you like players like DeJounte, and you like some of these other pieces, even if you wanted to kick the can down the road with Zion another year, you have a legitimate asset in your pick this year. So I think there's a lot of options because you've got tradable salary. You have picks that are actually that are valuable. There are teams that are going to want your pick because it's going to be good. And so you have a lot of options. So I'm not saying trade DeJounte Murray, but depending on what you see as the next step,
right?
Because it's not this year. This year's done for me in terms of being like a useful team. If he's the player, it's the same thing we said about Herb in the offseason. Like if someone calls and they say, "Hey, you want this," whoever the player X is, right? Like you want this player, but like Murray's got to be involved. Well, hey man, it was cool, man.
You know, Ross, it's just. This all makes me think about the fact that it's just such a cloudy path in the NBA when without either a really good coach or an available superstar talent.
Right.
You know, and right now you don't have either. So, you know, some teams are able to get away with having one or the other. At this point, Miami they'll be okay. Now that, you know, Jimmy isn't, you know, until playoff time or whatever, but Jimmy isn't necessarily that superstar talent. Bam isn't, Tyler isn't, but Spo's a really good coach.
Right.
So they have like he is the damn foundation. If things fail and you can't, it buys you so much time. And that's the issue with the Pelicans. They don't have Milwaukee could continue to reset shit as many times they wanted to, from coaches to players to front office execs, because Giannis was the fucking guy. He was a star. It did not matter. The Pelicans don't have that fucking option. They don't have the superstar talent with Zion, you know, with Brandon being a tier below and Zion just not being, for whatever the fucking reason it is not available mentally or physically, and you don't have the goddamn coach. So none of this shit sounds good to me. It all sounds bad. All of it sounds fucking horrible because I'm not sure that either way that you can take care of either side right now when you look at the landscape and what the league right now is about.
Yeah, I agree. I just say this: whatever you do, don't thread the needle. Pick a direction. If you still want to be good, try to be good. If you want to be bad, just go ahead and lean in to be bad. Keep your cheap players and your young players and move forward.
I know y'all keep saying, like how from an organizational standpoint can you say, we're gonna tank, but yet you once again raise ticket prices. You sold this like I know 10 games in, like what y'all saying is not wrong. I'm not disagreeing whatsoever. I'm just thinking from a organizational standpoint, they're not gonna do it. They're just not.
See, tank is the wrong word. I'm using tank as just like a synonym for really keep doing what you're doing. They don't have to actively tank. They suck. All you gotta do is just keep being trash. Like this. What I mean by tank is like don't do something dumb and like at the end of the season the Lakers are resting all their players and you go out there and go for the win. Like, oh, we got like you played a game of your fucking life. Now you picking ninth in the draft. Give Brandon Boston all the run that he got. Play Trey. When Herb come back, run with Herb. Hawkins come back, let him do his thing, and look to sell. Just look to sell, and a lot of stuff might be available to you.
Jokic went 37, 18, 15 tonight, and a 2-point win over the Mavs.
He's
a monster. Those fuckers have both. They have a really good coach and they have a superstar talent.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Appreciate everybody. 250 people in the room. Appreciate everyone that pulled up tonight. Smash the like button, helps out the channel. We will be live again tomorrow against the Brooklyn Nets. We'll be live 4 times this week. Brooklyn at OKC. Then you got the back-to-back with Denver and Los Angeles. So appreciate everyone. Smash the like button. Shout out to all the sponsors: Sunshine, John Deere, DraftKings, Standard Mortgage, Theos, and of course 4D. And always presented by Scott Vicknair Injury Law Firm. Chris, Chaz, and Ross. That's good stuff. We'll see y'all later.